How are you doing?
Hi, good evening. I'm Carol Wilding, President and CEO of Toronto Board of Trade, and it's my pleasure to welcome everybody here this evening for a live and interactive discussion with Brett Wilson, the Dragon Den panelist, actually the dragon with a heart, as everybody likes to say, and an incredible entrepreneur, lots of stories to tell, I'm sure, but somebody who I think really embodies and lives what we all call corporate social responsibility. So a great story to tell this evening along with the other panelists here. At the Board of Trade, we have over 10,000 members, and I know many of them are in the room here tonight. We say that we like to connect about 250,000 people in the Toronto region, many of whom are small businesses, which really are the lifeblood of the economy. So events like this, and we host over about 100 events a year, really do help our members in terms of pushing down that frontier on business development. We are delighted that Direct Engagement Show chose Board of Trade to be a part of this evening, and our thanks to them for helping us to be a part of this. And with that, I'm just going to pass it off to Stefan Lialius, who's going to get you started. So have a great evening.
Thank you, Carol, and thank you everyone for being here. And I want to thank also our sponsor, SIMAC, to make this possible, and of course our panelists. On the web, if you want to pose a question forward, you can actually Twitter it, or you can also go to webcast@directengagement.com, and we'll be picking up your questions that way. Now, tonight's discussion theme, as you've probably seen already, is so you really want to start your own venture. And what is the formula for success? And you know, people talk about genetics, they talk about passion. Where should you start and get help beyond the financial assistance? And really, at the end of the day, is entrepreneurship for you. And tonight's discussion is not whether or not you need a marketing plan, a business plan. We're a step beyond that, and we're going right to the guts, and literally the guts, or the personality profile that would make or a successful entrepreneur. And our first guest and panelist is Mike Michell. Mike is the National Director of Small Business at RBC Financial, and beyond knowing the financial requirements for successful entrepreneurs, he has met enough to have a sense of what is needed beyond just the numbers. And please welcome Mike Michell. Mike.
Hi. Thanks, everybody. What I would say, I was fortunate enough to be part of several focus groups and deal with several clients, but most recently we actually sponsored an Ipsos Reid survey asking entrepreneurs, if you were to give advice to other entrepreneurs, what would that advice look like? And a lot of it came back as know the market you want to be in and know the market you don't want to be in. What products do you want to sell? Where is the competition in terms of the products that you're selling? Who do you want to compete against and who do you not want to compete against? So it was very interesting from their dialogue in terms of stay focused, make sure you know where you want to move forward, and make sure you have allies. Who are going to be your mentors? Who are going to be your sounding boards? And a lot of times what they'll talk about is people in like-type businesses. So don't go at it alone. People who go at it alone usually have trouble with the endurance piece. So make sure you have a good network, and it could be fellow entrepreneurs, it could be entrepreneurs in like-type businesses. And a lot of family members came up too in terms of sounding boards. So I think if I were to encapsulate or synopsize very quickly what it was is, A, understand where you want to focus, how do you gauge whether you're being successful in terms of your focus or not, and make sure you don't go out alone. Make sure you have people you can sound things off of who can give you courage and strength to pursue, because as we were talking earlier before coming out here, you do hear a lot of no's before you hear a yes. And the successful entrepreneurs persevere to the yes. So make sure you have people who are there to encourage you to get to the yes.
Thank you, Mike. And our next panelist is Gloria Rajkumar. Now, Gloria is the founder and the award-winning CEO of Superior Independent Medical Assessment Centers, or SIMAC. And she's won a number of awards, even the, well, they'll give it to us. And I'd like to introduce Gloria. Gloria?
Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Unlike what Mike had to say, I didn't take any of those advice. I didn't know what I was getting involved in. I started my company in August of 2001, and I didn't do the market survey. I didn't do a sampling of services. I just knew the industry that I was going to serve, and I took that risk, and it's all paid off. Here I am 10 years later, and this year we've won 3 awards, 3 Business Excellence Award, and I was recently ranked number 4 on the Profit 100 Entrepreneurs of the Year.
Quite the resume. And now I'd like to introduce Brett Wilson. Now, Brett Wilson, all of you know, is a highly popular investor on Dragon's Den show. He is also a successful entrepreneur himself. So Brett brings to this discussion theme a candidness that spans a broad breadth of experiences from business to personal that related to achieving his success. You can also visit his website online. Please welcome Brett Wilson.
Hey. Well, for the next hour, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. No, we actually have a true panel going here, so I'm just going to lead in with a couple of open comments. And I know we're going to get into a Q&A that's going to be pretty wide-ranging, and I think as we've shared, there's no topic off limits. In terms of a few observations, I appreciate the comment about being the dragon with a heart. I think I'm the only warm-blooded dragon, and that's what allows me to have a heart. And actually, Eileen can sometimes get there, but boy, she's tough at times. And yes, Kevin is a... we'll just put that to bed right now and leave it at that. We have a lot of fun on the show. One of the great things about Dragon's Den is that we are, for the first time as a nation, celebrating the concept of entrepreneurship. We don't fully know what entrepreneurship is. There's a lot of different definitions, a lot of different people playing in the field, but there's a couple of things that resonate for me. First of all, I'm trying to separate the concept of entrepreneurship from small business. There's a perception, certainly in academia and sometimes in the business world, that an entrepreneur and a small businessman are one and the same. Entrepreneurs are more. Starting small businesses, I love, I support, we've invested in hundreds of small businesses. But the concept of entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship training is very important to me, because entrepreneurs exist in all walks of life. When I bought a township or two of land in Saskatchewan, that wasn't a small business, but it was very entrepreneurial. When Murray Edwards bought $1.5 billion worth of properties with Canadian Natural and then developed a $10 billion oil sands plant on them, that was extraordinarily entrepreneurial, but there was nothing small business about it. It's a mindset, and it's a mindset that's relevant to the small business, large business, medium business, any business that's got a new project. It's also very relevant to the world of hospitals and public service. It's relevant in academia and education. It's relevant as a way of thinking. And it's a way of thinking where you don't say, no, it's not my job, it's someone else's job. Because you know the job has to be done. I also believe, for example, that entrepreneurs are not risk takers. Fundamental gap there with many people. But I happen to believe that entrepreneurs simply view risk differently. I was on an airplane flight from Calgary to Toronto with a client. I was working for another firm at the time, a small boutique, and the client asked me if the guy I was working for had what it would take to build his firm into a full-service investment bank. I paused, and the fact that I paused for several seconds told my client the answer. And he said, look, don't worry about answering that. If you ever go out on your own, I would hire you. That was enough to send me out on my own. Now, the guy didn't hire me for almost 2 years after we got up and running, but the fact that he would hire me told me that someone would hire me, that someone else would hire me, and I was worth being on my own. And so away I went. I'm going to stop at that.